No! Please, don't take my daughter!
Ada, keep your promise.
The gigantic wave crashed toward the shore as terrified villagers screamed and ran for their lives. Children cried, mothers grabbed their families. The once joyful birthday celebration turned into complete chaos. Lightning split the sky while the roaring sea shook the ground beneath everyone's feet. Ada refused to move. She stood in front of Zina with both arms stretched wide. "You will not take my daughter," she cried. The sea goddess remained calm despite the raging storm behind her. "I have come only for what you promised." "I don't care about that promise anymore." "You cared when your family was starving." Ada's face tightened. "Things have changed." "No," the sea goddess replied. "Only your heart has." Tunde stepped between them with trembling hands. "Ada, please." She never looked away from the goddess. "No." He grabbed her shoulder. "Listen to her." Ada pulled away. "I listened 18 years ago. You gave your word." "I was desperate." "So was every parent in this village," the sea goddess answered quietly. "Yet, only one offered a child." Zina stood frozen. She looked from her mother to the glowing woman standing in the sea. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Mother, tell me she's lying." Ada couldn't answer. "Please," Zina begged, "tell me." Ada finally whispered, "Everything she said is true." Zina stepped backward in disbelief. You promised me?" "I wanted you to live." "You traded my future?" "I saved your life." "You decided my life without asking me." Ada broke down. "I thought I was doing the right thing." The sea goddess spoke gently. She was. Both Ada and Zina looked at her. "You were dying that night." The goddess continued. "Your father was injured. Your mother had no food. You would not have survived another week." Ada slowly lowered her head. "I kept every promise I made." She pointed toward the mansion. "Who gave you that home?" Silence. "Who filled your boats with fish?" Silence. "Who turned your tears to laughter?" Nobody answered. "I never failed you." The villagers exchanged nervous glances. Everyone knew the sea goddess was telling the truth. Ada clenched her fists. "I don't care. I love my daughter. I won't lose her." The sea goddess sighed. "Love should never require breaking your word." She slowly lifted one glowing hand. "I will ask one last time. Will you honor the promise you freely made?" Ada shouted without hesitation, "No!" The glowing blue light around the sea goddess suddenly faded into a cold white light. "So be it." She closed her hand. The earth trembled. A loud cracking sound echoed across the village. Everyone turned toward the magnificent mansion. Large cracks spread across its walls. Windows shattered one after the other. The golden fountain in front of the house stopped flowing. The expensive statues collapsed into dust. Servants screamed and ran outside. "What is happening?" one shouted. Tunde stared in horror. "Our house!" The sea goddess spoke calmly. "I gave." She looked directly at Ada. "And now I take back only what was mine to give." Another loud crack echoed through the village. The family's fishing boats suddenly began sinking at the harbor. Fishermen shouted in panic, "The boats! They are going under! No!" Workers rushed into the water, but the boats disappeared beneath the waves as though invisible hands were pulling them down. One by one,
every boat vanished. Ada stared helplessly. Then another servant came running from the mansion. "Madam, our treasure room." Ada's heart skipped. "What about it?" "The gold." She rushed inside. The sea goddess simply watched. Ada threw open the heavy wooden doors. Every chest that once overflowed with gold now contained nothing but ordinary stones, wet seashells, and handfuls of sand. She dropped to her knees. No! She opened another chest. More stones. Another. Nothing. Another. Only broken shells. She screamed, "This can't be happening." Tunde slowly entered the room. His face carried no anger, only sadness. It was never really ours. Ada shook her head violently. "No!" She grabbed handfuls of stones. "Where is my gold?" Her voice echoed through the empty treasure room. Outside, villagers watched silently. Some remembered the years when Ada freely helped everyone. Others remembered how she had slowly become proud after gaining her fortune. The sea goddess walked into the mansion. Her feet never touched the floor. Blue light followed every step. She stopped before Ada. "I warned you." Ada looked up through her tears. "Please, you had 18 years to prepare. I changed my mind. A promise does not change because feelings do." Ada crawled toward the goddess. "I'll give you all my gold. You have none. I'll build temples for you. I asked for none. I'll worship you forever. I never asked for worship." Ada grabbed the edge of the goddess's flowing gown. "Then what do you want?" The goddess looked toward Zina. "The same thing I asked for 18 years ago. Zina." The room became completely silent. Outside, thunder rolled across the dark sky as the ocean continued roaring against the shore. Everyone waited to see what Ada would do next.
Zina slowly stepped forward, her hands shaking. "Mother!" Ada quickly stood between her and the sea goddess again. "No!" Zina gently touched her mother's shoulder. "Please, you are not leaving me. You don't even know where she's taking me. I don't care." "I do." Ada stared into her daughter's tear-filled eyes. "I spent 18 years protecting you." "And you did. Then let me protect you one last time." Zina slowly shook her head. "You already did." Silence filled the mansion. The sea goddess watched without speaking. Finally, Zina turned toward her. "I have one question. You may ask. Were you going to kill me?" The sea goddess looked surprised. "No." "What?" Ada whispered. "I never asked for her life." The goddess looked at Zina with kindness. "Long before you were born, the ocean chose you. The glowing mark you received as a baby was never a curse. It was a calling." Zina touched the faint glowing mark on her forehead. "I was meant to become the next guardian of the sacred sea." The villagers gasped. Tunde stared in disbelief. "You mean all these years?" "She was never my prisoner," the sea goddess answered. "She was my chosen successor." Ada's voice trembled. "Then why didn't you tell me?" "You never asked. You only feared losing her." The sea goddess took another step. "I intended to teach her the wisdom of the sea, the balance of life, and the duty of protecting every soul who depends upon these waters. When her training was complete, she would have been free to return to her family whenever she wished." Ada covered her mouth. "I thought you believed I would steal your daughter forever." The sea goddess nodded gently. "Fear made you imagine the worst." Tunde looked at Ada. "We spent 18 years preparing for a tragedy that was never coming." Ada burst into tears. "I was wrong." The sea goddess's expression became serious once more. But you still broke your promise. Ada slowly knelt before her. I know. I cannot change what I did, but I can admit it. She looked at Zina. My daughter, I was so afraid of losing you that I forgot the woman I used to be. I stopped trusting. I stopped sharing. I held on to riches because I thought they could protect us. She lowered her head. They never could. Zina rushed forward and hugged her mother. You are trying to save me. I hurt you instead. No, you gave me 18 beautiful years. Mother and daughter cried together. Even the villagers wiped tears from their faces. The sea goddess smiled softly. This is the Ada I remember. The storm began losing its strength. The towering waves slowly became smaller. Lightning faded into the clouds. Ada stood and faced the goddess. I will keep my promise. Her voice was steady now. I released Zina. Tunde closed his eyes. Although his heart ached, he nodded. So do I. The sea goddess extended her hand. Zina looked at her parents one last time. I'll come back. Ada forced a small smile through her tears. I'll be waiting. Zina gently placed her hand into the sea goddess's hand. A warm blue light surrounded them both. The ocean suddenly became peaceful. The dark clouds disappeared. Golden sunlight broke through the sky. The sea goddess looked toward the ruined mansion. You have lost every treasure that came from my blessing. She raised one hand. But you have gained something far greater. Ada looked confused. What? The truth. The goddess smiled. No amount of gold can replace a promise kept. The villagers slowly gathered around the family. No one mocked them. No one laughed. Instead, they helped Ada and Tunde gather what little remained of their home. The richest family in the village became one of the poorest again. But something had changed. For the first time in many years, Ada smiled without fear. Months passed. Ada and Tunde returned to fishing with a single small wooden boat. They worked honestly. They laughed together again. Although life was simple, peace filled their home. One evening, while watching the sunset, Ada whispered, I miss her every day. Tunde smiled. So do I. At that very moment, the ocean began to glow softly. Ada stood. A familiar blue light appeared above the waves. The sea goddess emerged. Standing beside her was Zina. She looked stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever. Mother! Zina ran into Ada's arms. The family embraced with tears of joy. The sea goddess smiled. I told you she would return. Ada looked at the goddess. I'm sorry. I know. And thank you. The sea goddess nodded. May this village always remember, the greatest wealth is never gold. It is love, honesty, and a promise that is kept. With one final smile, she disappeared beneath the peaceful sea. The family stood together, watching the gentle waves sparkle beneath the evening sun, knowing that no treasure in the world could ever equal the gift of having one another. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments. Would you have kept the promise or protected your child? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more unforgettable African fantasy stories, and share this journey with someone who loves powerful tales of sacrifice, destiny, and hope. The end.